Hey everybody, Gary here with Guitar Tricks, and in this video I'm going to share with you a couple of ways that you could practice the chromatic scale to improve your technique, to help you memorize the fretboard, and to develop your ear. Before we get into the lesson, please go ahead and click subscribe so that you get all of the latest and greatest content from Guitar Tricks. And if you want to be notified of any new lessons, be sure to also tap the bell and let us know what lesson would you like to see next. We're always checking the comments to see what video lessons we should post on the channel. All right, let's get into the lesson. So the chromatic scale is just all 12 notes that we have in Western music, or on the guitar, or on the piano, or on most instruments we use in popular music. We just have 12 notes. So they're starting on E, which is our lowest note, E, F, F sharp, also known as G flat, G, G sharp, also known as A flat, A sharp, also known as B flat, B, C, C sharp, also known as D flat, D, D sharp, also known as E flat, and then back to E. And that's another octave. And then those notes either repeat themselves on the guitar or they go into a higher octave, which just means vibrating at twice the frequency. But that's all we have. So why practice the chromatic scale? The first reason I said was for technique. So a lot of people do spider fingers, where you just put your fingers across 4 consecutive frets and you just go down the strings. This is a good technique developer, but I feel like there's a couple things you could practice instead of that are more valuable. One is just practicing scales, right? Because scales are good technique builders. Like for instance, if I played the F minor scale, that's something that I would use more than a spider finger exercise. So why not, practice something I will use and therefore cover 2 bases, right? So another thing we could do is practice the chromatic scale, and this is very valuable. So in order to practice the chromatic scale, we don't want to skip any notes. So if I just go like this, I'm skipping the note A, and I was also skipping the note E. So check this out. I'm going to go E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B, C, C sharp, and see, just getting to there, I didn't skip any notes. I went straight through the chromatic scale. I didn't finish it because I'm just trying to demonstrate how I'm not skipping any notes, right? So I'm covering all the notes and I'm hearing them one after the other. I'm hearing what we call the half step between each note. So every note is connected by a half step. There's no, 2 frets to this note, then 1 fret to the next note. The chromatic scale is unique because it's all the notes equally spaced apart. So the way to practice this in open position, which is a great place to practice it because the frets require the most stretch the lower we are, right? And we also want to memorize all the notes in this position because this is kind of where we start, right? So this is what we're going to do. We're going to go open on the low E string, 1st fret, 2nd fret, 3rd fret, 4th fret. Now, what you want to do is keep your fingers over the respective frets that they're going to be playing on. So right now we're in what we call first position. That means index finger covers the 1st fret, middle finger covers the 2nd fret, ring finger 3rd fret, pinky 4th fret, right? So now when I go through these, see how my finger doesn't leave that fret? Think of the fret as kind of like a border. Think of the fret wire as a border, and you don't want to let your finger leave that post. It's got to stay there, even if it's floating or hovering above. Also, when you're ascending through the scale, meaning going up in pitch, see if you could keep the previous note you played pressed down. Obviously, you can't do this going down, but you could do it going up. A couple things that are going to help achieve that. Get the guitar up a little bit. I should have a strap, but I don't have one at the moment because it's on my other guitar. So I'm kind of putting my leg over my other leg. Have the neck kind of on an angle, and you want to get your knuckle line perpendicular with the neck, right? See, my knuckle line's perpendicular with the neck. My thumb is straight up and down on the middle of the back of the neck, and I just push my wrist a little bit forward. The lower I put the guitar, the more I've got to, go like that with my wrist. But when the guitar's higher up, I don't have to do that so much. So even though it might look cool to have the guitar low, it's usually more practical to have it higher up. And then that thumb is right behind, let's say, between the first and second fret. That's where I've got it. So my hand is, it's not over like this. It's not too much over there. It's just in a kind of neutral position, but it's a little bit over from my index finger, kind of like you're holding a bowling ball, right? And then just see if you can rest your fingers over the fret. No pressure. Just get them in place. Okay. So with that in mind, we're going to go open, first fret, second fret, third fret, fourth fret. And what we had there was E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp. Now the next note is A. That's the open A string. Then again, A sharp 1, B 2, C 3, C sharp 4. Currently I'm calling the notes by their sharp name as I go up the scale. When I come back down, I'll call them by their flat name. So putting that all together so far, we had E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B, C, C sharp. Okay, what comes after C sharp? D. Open D string. D sharp, E, F, F sharp. What comes after F sharp? G. G, G sharp, A sharp, B. Now, we got to B, and the next open string is B. This is because the guitar is tuned in a quirky way. It's tuned in the interval of a fourth until you get from the G and the B, and then it's tuned in the interval of a major third. So being we already played the B here, we don't have to play the open B. So then we go to the first fret, C, on the B string, C sharp, D, D sharp. Now we get to the open E string after D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp. So now we've played just over 2 full octaves of the chromatic scale. Now on the way back down, I'm going to call them by their flat name. A flat, G, G flat, F, E. After E, we get to E flat, D, D flat, C. Now we're going to play the B as a fretted note on the G string. B, B flat, A flat, G. Then we get to the next string, G flat, F, E flat, D. Then we get to the next string, D flat, C, B flat, A. I'm going to keep going. A flat, G, G flat, F, E. Now, if you're brand new to the chromatic scale, you might notice that there's no F flat or E sharp, and there's no C flat or B sharp. So between B and C, we have what's called a half step, and there's no sharp or flat in between. And between E and F, there's no sharp or flat in between. One way to memorize that is in 5000 BC, no one knew Ella Fitzgerald. So Ella Fitzgerald's a great jazz singer, right? So in 5000 BC, no one knew EF. All right, I just put the strap on the guitar so that I can use my foot tambourine and still keep the guitar kind of high up, because that helps the technique, right? So let's just go through that chromatic scale and play 1 note per beat. And I'm going to say the note names, and we'll do it for memorization, and then we'll do it for technique. 1, 2, here we go. E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp. Now let's go down. Instead of calling this G sharp, we're going to call it A flat and do flats. 1, 2, here we go. A flat, G, G flat, F, E flat, D, D flat, C, B flat, A flat, G flat, F, D flat, C, B, B flat, A flat, G flat, F, E. I love that note. All right, so that is practicing it for note names in any position. I'm going to show you how to do this in other positions, but if you keep doing that, you're going to get to know all the notes in this position, right? And then you'll get to know all the notes in other positions. All right, and then if we do it for technique, let's try eighth notes, up and down without stopping. 1, 2, here we go. 16th notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, the third reason that I said you might want to practice this is for your ear. So I'll never forget the time I watched a B.B. King masterclass, and he said he practices the chromatic scale because it helps him hear better. So he's hearing the smallest interval that we have, which is a half step. So being able to hear the difference between this and this is more subtle than, say, in the pentatonic scale where we have no half steps, like, right? The spaces are so big between those notes that it's easy to hear them. But when we make the spaces smaller, it requires a more acute sense of distance between notes, right? And he said the more he played it, the better it improved his ear. So that totally makes sense to me, especially someone like BB, who had such control over bending a half step, a whole step, a step and a half. All right, so that's how we practice it in open position. Now let's try it in a different position. Let's try it, let's say, in fifth position. And we're actually going to switch between fifth and sixth position here. So the way to practice it here is go index, index, middle, ring, pinky. That's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Then go to the next string, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we slide that index. Next string, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Next string, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Next string, remember B string's weird. We just go 6, 7, 8, 9. And then 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Going backwards, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 9, 8, 7, 6. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. Okay, now let's do that in fifth position. I'm going to call out the note names. Note names. 1, 2, here we go. A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D sharp, E, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, B, C sharp. Awesome. Going down, let's use flats. 1, 2, 3, 4. D flat, C, B flat, A flat, G flat, F, E flat, D flat, C, B flat, A flat, G flat, F, E flat, D flat, D, C, B flat, A. Right? So that's practicing it for note names, and you could go as slow or as fast as you need. That's not practicing for technique. It's trying to just join place on the fretboard with name of the note, right? Then for technique, then it's more about getting a good sound, good tone, good timing technique. So I'll try eighth notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... I'll try 16th. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, even if I wanted to say note names that fast, I wouldn't be able to. All right, so then you could do that in any position. Great way to get to know the fretboard, great way to get to know the musical alphabet, great finger builder, great ear trainer. All right, everybody, I hope that lesson was helpful. If you want to learn more about playing guitar and take a step-by-step approach with a bunch of different sequential courses, or go really in depth on many popular songs with multi-video lessons with downloadable tab and backing tracks, head over to guitartricks.com. Happy playing, and I'll see you in the next lesson.